Alrighty, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Theory of Blind Man. Welcome back. If you're joining from earlier today, I want to thank you all for tuning in. We got a special interview today with Miss Amanda Jean out from the east coast of the glorious United States. And of course, wherever you are, it is as glorious as well. So thank you all for tuning in today. We are going to get started here in just a second. If you guys have any questions specifically for Amanda, just go ahead and tag at Amanda in the chat below, and I'll be sure to get to those questions later on. So, Amanda, welcome.
Hi,
How are you doing?
good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm just looking for my camera button. There we go. Now we're all live. So, yeah, you reached out to me the other day talking about a little bit of some tips or tricks or something to help you grow your YouTube
hmm
channel.
Yep.
And my big thing is cross promoting,
Yeah.
collaborations. So the
Yeah.
more people that you get in front of and be able to tell your story to, the more likely you are to, gain a few people here and there to follow you. So, welcome to Theory of Blind Man Land.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, of course. So, why don't you go tell my audience what it is you are all about as far as like your YouTube channel and especially your writing. I'm interested in the writing. I like
Sure,
writing.
sure. So, I have a degree in journalism and I received my bachelor's of arts from the University of West Florida. And I have been blogging for 10 years. And on my blog, I write about what it's like to be visually impaired and I offer tips and tricks for either the general public or parents of children with visual vision loss. And of course, I cover other disabilities as well because I have mild cerebral palsy and dyslexia. And I also talk about what it's like to be visually impaired and starting to run your own business. On YouTube, I use that as a way to do videos of my blog posts, and I talk again about what it's like to be visually impaired, tips and tricks for parents of little ones and the general public, and people being visually impaired in general. And I also do mental health as well. Um, so I talk about anxiety, depression, eating disorders, what helped me recover, things like that.
Nice.
And I'm also writing a book. Um, so that's fun.
What's the book about?
It is a kind of like a mini biography in a way, but it's based off my own experiences, answering 10 questions for parents whose children have nystagmus, which is the eye condition that I have. And the way the book came about was I always saw on these support forums, oh, my kid needs help with learning how to write. What technology is out there for my little one? And I said, maybe I can use that in a blog post. But then one day I was talking to a friend who's helping me with the paperwork to get my business started. He said, Amanda, have you thought about taking these 10 questions instead of using them in your blogs? Write a book. And I said, I can do that and I can base it off of my own life experience as well and kind of share what it was like to be visually impaired and not be able to get any help till grade 5, you know?
Yeah, that blew my mind when you mentioned that earlier. Say the eye condition again one more time.
Sure, nystagmus.
Nystagmus. Now, what is that exactly?
There is no cure. And I was born with it. There's actually two different types. There's congenital, meaning you were born with it, or acquired, meaning you get later in life from, there's many different reasons why someone can get it. And basically your eyes move side to side, up or down, or in a circle, or sometimes in a combination, and it constantly moves, constantly. There's no way for us to stop it at
Hmm.
all. And it just constantly makes our vision, or at least for me, I can't speak for the rest of the community, but for me, my vision's like looking through a piece of saran wrap
Huh.
every day. Yeah.
That's interesting. And like you said earlier, you didn't start getting some form of low vision aids or help until fifth grade.
Mm-hmm.
That's
My
exciting.
mother, yeah, my mother God rest her soul, she's been gone for 15 years. She had to fight and take me to all these eye doctors. And at first, the eye doctors were like, oh, she'll be fine. But as I got older and still struggled to see and read and everything, my mom's like, this isn't right. She can't see.
Mm-hmm.
So my mom had to constantly fight the teachers and to say, hey, there is something wrong. And it wasn't till the end of grade 4 I went through testing or registrational testing to be for them to realize, yeah, there's something wrong. And then in grade 5, I was finally put on in Texas. That's where I grew up. They finally put me on the register list for being visually impaired and to get large print books.
And when were you actually diagnosed?
As a baby, they actually said I had nystagmus, but all the doctors when I was little said, she would be fine. But it wasn't
Hmm.
until the 4th grade that the teachers really realized there was something wrong, and they did look, in my records, my medical records, and the doctors would know, as we got closer to 4th grade, 5th grade, yeah, there is something really going on.
Hmm.
It
So
was
what point?
just getting everybody on the same page.
Yeah, yeah, that's seems to be the big problem with all these different people having, a
Yeah,
different finger in the pot.
yeah.
So, when did you start? Okay, so fourth, fifth grade, you
Mm-hmm.
start having the large print at least. When do you start receiving more blind field service type specific help or
Oh
assistance?
gosh. Okay, really kind of crazy story. When we moved here to Florida from Texas in grades 7th or 8th, the low vision school program actually took away my large print and started giving me low vision aids, no matter if it was a dome magnifier, a CCTV, monocular. So they started training me with that. But as far as orientation, mobility, cooking, cleaning, how to use the computer, I didn't get help for that until I was an adult, until
Oh wow.
after I graduated high school. Yeah. Yeah. And their theory was she's not legally blind, so she must not qualify for help, you know. But the way I found out about our local blind services for adults was I actually went to a career fair at our local university, and they were at one of the tables. And my
Mm-hmm.
grandma actually picked up the paperwork, and we talked to them, and they said, yeah, you should qualify. So we turned in all the paperwork, and I became a client, and I was a client until last April when my caseworker said, Amanda, you've got other health disability problems. Go to, you're in VR, vocational rehabilitation too, VR for short. Go to them. And they said, you don't have a job, so we're going to close your case. And I said, well, I'm in self-employment track. And they said, go to them,
Hmm.
go to VR. Good luck. So, yeah.
That's amazing. Like I was saying earlier,
Mm-hmm.
they'd rather just pawn you off to another branch of whatever agency to try to, because every time they close a case, I mean, their eventual goal is to have a quote unquote successful
Mm-hmm.
case. And then, so if you're getting paid, then that would be a successful case. But since you're going down the self employment path, like I am as well, but I do have independent contracts for technology, but
Mm-hmm.
they still don't see that as a successful story, I guess you can call it. It's not their idea, their poster child, if you will, for a good idea of what it means to be within that system.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Really
So
unfortunate.
I'm just writing, and I'm trying to spread awareness and trying to help these parents of the little ones that have nystagmus, and of course the general public, that we can do things, and visually impaired, that we can do things, because I get
Hmm.
a lot of stigma. You're visually impaired, you can't. Well, no one's going to say I can't until I say I can't, except for driving. You know, you can't magically pull a
Right.
driver's license out of the hat. So,
Yeah, definitely. You mentioned earlier, legally blind. So, are you considered legally blind, and to who? Obviously, not um, one of the blind field services. Otherwise, they'd be helping you. But
right.
like, you can't get a
Uh,
license, right? Like a driver's
right.
license.
I can't get a driver's license. I have a state ID. And
Mm-hmm.
according to my eye doctor, I just don't fit that quote unquote legal blindness definition, but I'm considered low vision. However, I do have a white cane. I mean, I also have night blindness, which
Mm-hmm.
sometimes goes along with nystagmus. And one of the things that I'm running into sometimes, not all the time, but when I first got my cane, a lot of people are like, "You're wearing glasses. You must be faking this." And I'm like, "No, I'm not. I have an orientation mobility specialist, so I'm not. I'm considered low vision or visually impaired, and my vision's around 20/70, 20/80.
Mm-hmm.
On a good day with glasses. Now, without glasses, I can't tell you what my IQD is. Without
Mm-hmm.
digging out paperwork. But it's like looking through a piece of saran wrap every day. And then as the day goes on, that clarity goes away.
Yeah.
And then when night blindness hits, sometimes I can see shadows, sometimes light, sometimes nothing. And that's
Mm-hmm.
scary. That is.
So this saran wrap effect, is this a physical thing that is this eye condition, or is it I'm not quite sure how to explain. Like, cataracts is a film basically that
Right.
clogs up the eye. So is it something like that, or is it more of just a lack of something within the eye?
It, it's it's more of like the best I can explain it. That's basically how I see my world. It's really blurry. I
Mm-hmm.
can't see detail. I can't see far away, and sometimes I can't see close up. Without Zoom text, I can't see my computer at all. I'm sitting
Mm-hmm.
here, Zoom text is turned off. I can tell you're right here, but I can't really see the details of my computer unless I have Zoom text. And like with printed material, if my grandfather wasn't around to help me, or if I didn't use Kurzweil 3000, which is a reading and writing and scanning program, I wouldn't be able to access print. I
Yeah.
wouldn't. Yeah. So.
Interesting. Okay. Now your YouTube channel kind of covers the whole gamut of what we just kind of talked about. When did you start your YouTube channel?
Last year. Last year, I just decided, hey, I'm gonna start this and branch out from my blog and see if people like it. And I have a small following of people, but hey, you got to
Hey, you
try.
got yeah, you got to start
I always
somewhere.
said, yeah, exactly. You know, if I can go from a special education student on track for a special education to a high school graduate with honors with a regular diploma, I can tackle just about anything.
Yeah,
I
that's a
will
good
die
attitude to have
fighting.
too.
hmm I will die fighting.
Yeah, I was talking with somebody, I believe just yesterday or the day before, how we're talking about certain people have that kind of drive, that kind of motivation, or
hmm
whatever it may be to get us through. Like the question that I had was, when you the transition of going from a sighted world, having 2015 vision to having complete blackness in one eye and horrible 2400 in the other eye. It's just like, how was your transition? For me at the time, it was nothing. It was just like
hmm
graduating from Velcro shoes to laced shoes. You adapt, you just do it.
hmm
And I could never really put a
Yeah,
finger
exactly.
on what it is, but
Yeah, it's all about just deciding I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna be strong, and I'm gonna do the best I can, and keep going and keep
yeah,
fighting. Um,
yeah. Did you also go? You mentioned university earlier. Did you go to a college or anything like that for writing?
I went. For my AA degree, my associates, I went to Pensacola State College and I graduated with my AA degree in journalism in 2011 in August, and then I just transferred over to the local University of West Florida here, where I finished my bachelor's, and then I also got my minor in education, and that's kind of my business coach said, Amanda, do you realize when you get on YouTube that in a sense you're teaching? And I said, no, I never really kind of thought about it like that. But if you think about it, take my last blog post, 3 tips to help improve your handwriting, and I'm sitting
Mm-hmm.
there, build up your hand muscles. If your child's handwriting or your handwriting is bad, grab a squish ball, grab some therapy putty or anything like that and build those muscles. Have
Yeah,
a positive attitude. Find a curriculum that you love, or not love, but something that you can understand, that you can process and do.
absolutely.
Because I grew up with I have mild CP, and one other thing that threw me for a loop was I had 2 different types of occupational therapists growing up. One used one type of curriculum, the other one used another type, and it was very confusing to be
Oh,
like,
that's right. I remember you talking about that about the handwriting, and that's
mm-hmm.
right. That was when I heard two different styles. Like, wow, that's interesting. So one was on a military base, you said, and one was the
Mm-hmm.
general public schooling.
Yeah, the school district. Yeah, and from what I can gather from my records and everything, because I was a little kid, my mom just said, she's doing better at school, and we stuck with a brand called handwriting. It worked, but when I was in middle school, my handwriting wasn't improving with cursive. My print was much better than cursive, and they just said, we're going to
Mm,
stop her uh, occupational therapy when it comes to handwriting. Her handwriting is probably going to always be bad. So let's do
mm,
typing. And then my occupational therapist said, she'll never be a good typist. Oh, really?
mm,
Sitting here at what, 97 words per whatever it is, plus
mm.
mistakes, but everybody makes mistakes. And then in high school, I was like, I'm going to kick my CP in its butt and I am going to make my handwriting better. And I did it. It took a
Nice.
lot of work, but I did it.
So the cerebral
Yeah.
palsy is the reasoning for the lack of hand muscles, or just the
Mm-hmm.
lack of range.
Yeah. It makes my hands weak. And I also had physical therapy too for strengthening my legs and my trunk muscles to get me where I could walk and run and do other things too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, so physical therapy first and then moved to occupational therapy, once I met all those milestones. So
Interesting.
yeah.
Okay. Really quick before I want to bring up the point about the hand muscles. Standing in the wind is here. She says blessings. Average blind guy, or no, excuse me, the Blind Advocate Network. I don't know where I got that from. Blind Advocate Network. I don't know if you know who that is. That's Armando. I interviewed him the other day. He says, "Hello, Amanda."
Hi guys.
Uh, Agent Z% says, "Hello, Amanda." At Amanda. Okay, so here's a question specifically for you. Is your condition that will worsen over time, or will it stay where it's at now?
According to my eye doctor, my last checkup, he said in general my eye condition should be stable, but as I age, I have to watch for other conditions just like the general public. So
Mm-hmm.
unless something weird happens and I magically become legally blind, which I don't wish on anybody, I should stay in the range that I'm in now between the 2 prescriptions that I bounce between. From the nystagmus forms, that seems to be quite common
Mm.
as people get older. They usually kind of stable out, so to speak, and then as they get older, it's like, oh, you have to watch for conditions, but that's not everybody.
Right, right.
Sometimes people, get worse, but I feel
Yeah.
blessed. I feel blessed. I'm in this range.
Yeah, I remember when I first started going in for eye surgeries. Every time I went into a surgery, you basically had to sign your life away on this piece of paper
Mhm.
saying, you may get this, that, or the other thing, or you may die. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll sign it. Sure. What's there to lose?
Mhm.
But it was kind
Yeah.
of funny because so the first surgery that I went through, I had to have a gas bubble put in my eye and keep my head
Mhm.
down for several weeks. But
Ooh.
a possible side effect of that surgery was cataracts because
Ooh.
the gas bubble would actually fog up the lens and you get cataracts. So I happened to get
Mm.
that worst case scenario. So you go in for surgery for cataracts and you sign another piece of paper saying, yeah, you might get glaucoma from this. And I did. So when it comes to
Oh, how
doctors, I'm like,
fun.
yeah, yeah. So like going back to um, how we can just adapt to our environment and move on because we have to.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I was gonna tell you about the
Absolutely.
whole hand thing. Do you know what a fidget cube is?
Mhm. I've heard of it.
I love these things. They're addicting. But you can hold it in one hand and kind of work your fingers on the different things that are on it. I got this 12-sided cube,
Wow.
and I was just thinking about how you were talking about doing the squishy balls and stuff like that.
Mhm.
No comment from Agent Z on the squishy balls, by the way. But you can move your fingers around and get a real wide range of motion and activity going. So I don't know. That might be something you could look into.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything to help.
And you can get them really cheap on Amazon.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh
So I
yeah.
read that one. Um, that's right. Okay, so I read that one.
While you're looking for questions, I just want to give a big giant shout out to my editor, my friend who helps me edit my blogs, and my graphic designer. You guys do an amazing job, and I can't thank you guys enough. And I also want to give a big shout out to my grandpa for helping me with everything. You, grandpa, you've taken care of me for 15 years, and you're amazing. Without your support, I wouldn't be here. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I suggest people go watch the video. I think it was titled something to the effect about your mom and grandma. And I thought that was a really
Mhm.
touching video that people should go check out.
Yeah, it's entitled "Remembering My Mom and Being Thankful for My Grandpa."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Link is in the description box below for Amanda Jean's YouTube channel. Along, I will have to add those links that you sent me in Messenger for your
Okay. Cool.
other media, but I'll add those into the description box as well.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I was sitting there. I was like, "Oh, I didn't send that to him. I might want to do that."
Yeah. So as far as your blog goes, are is your blog and YouTube channel kind of symbiotic in the sense that your YouTube kind of covers, like you said, what your blog talks about, or do you feed off of each other? Um,
They feed off of each other.
okay.
When it comes to a certain blog topic, sometimes on my YouTube channel I'll just expand more. But I also do some other fun things. I recently had my birthday, so I did a birthday haul. If I go shopping, I'm like, hey guys, check out this really cute top that I bought.
Mm-hmm.
I do food testing challenges as well. Um, so that's fun.
What's the worst food that you've tested so far?
It was a candy from England, and it was some kind of candy bar, and it just, mm, I just didn't care for it. And then, oh, my aunt sent me some candy from Canada, and you know how they have maple flavored candy?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, my aunt sent me a maple leaf candy, like a hard candy kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm sorry, but no, just nothing but maple flavored candy. No, no, that was bad.
I got a
But
couple
yeah,
subscribers from Canada. In Darkness, he's usually here, but he's got a band, and I always kind of tease him about Canada stuff, like maple covered snow. They'll get troughs of
mm-hmm,
snow and
mm-hmm,
cover them in maple syrup.
mm.
That's kind of
But
funny.
most of my candy, except for yeah, except for that, and I think there was one. candy bar from England that I didn't really care for. Can't remember what it was off the top of my head.
Mm,
Or maybe it wasn't from England. Maybe it was from another. That's it. Probably was from another country. But anyway, yeah. So
interesting.
yeah, I have a very bad sweet tooth. Very bad sweet.
Standing the Wind says, God bless you all. You two standing. These are all my loyal viewers. It's really cool. Um,
Awesome.
okay, so you're going back to your blog. Do you have a specific thing you cover on your blog, or is this more or less just your daily stuff that you talk about and you go through and your experiences as far as the low vision goes, or the CP, or mental health awareness? Oh, did we lose you? I think we may have lost connection. Let me check the backstage. If you guys have any questions for Amanda, go ahead and tag at Amanda so I can get to those links. Let's see. Nope, she's still here. Amanda, if you can hear me, I can't hear. Oh, there we go. Let's try this one. Alrighty.
Hey, are you back? I think. Hey, I'm sorry. I don't know what happened.
That's okay.
Yeah. So, what was your question?
I was asking a little more detail in your blog. What types of things do you cover or talk about or focus on?
So, other than disability, I recently last year decided to go ahead and start covering the disability mental health realm.
Mm-hmm.
How I got into that was kind of funny. I was actually volunteering for a organization in England called Sane Changing Mental Health for Good, and I was volunteering, blogging for them once a week. And I was talking to my editor one day on FaceTime, and I said, "I don't know what I'm going to write about this weekend. Oh my gosh, I feel like I've got writer's block." And she just said, "Amanda, what about mental health stuff?" And I'm like, that's interesting. And she goes, "Amanda, you're already writing about it for this organization, this charity. Write it on your blog, otherwise you're going to sell it yourself short." And I said,
Yeah.
"Great idea." So ever since then, I've been talking about anxiety, depression, my mental health journey, and what it was like to go to outpatient counseling.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my grandmother passed away in 2018, sadly, from Alzheimer's. And before that, I actually decided to go get some outpatient counseling to help with that because
Mm-hmm.
I was feeling sad and things. And there's nothing wrong with counseling. There's nothing wrong with that. And my counselor was good, and she really helped. Um, yeah, she was great. So now I'm sharing that journey of what it was like to go through therapy, and it's okay to have anxiety and depression, and it's okay to reach out and talk.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
And going back to what you were saying earlier about, I think it was your editor that said when you go to YouTube, you're basically teaching, and that is what we really do. If you think about it on
Mhm.
YouTube, or if anytime we share information, I feel that we are teaching others. Like, we can all learn from each other's experiences, and I think that's the biggest benefit that we have on social media today.
Absolutely, absolutely. And not only do I want to do the digital platform, eventually I would love to go and teach, small groups or, lectures and things like that and
Yeah,
travel the world. Just because I'm disabled doesn't mean I can't do it.
absolutely.
It's all about having that positive attitude and yeah, I want to do this, you know.
That's awesome. I was gonna
Yeah.
ask, kind of a not necessary question, but anyway, what month in 2018 did your grandmother pass?
May. May.
Okay, mine passed in December. actually Christmas Eve, I believe it was Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, also passed away from Alzheimer's.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she was amazing.
yeah. Um, Actually, while my grandma was ill, we were very, very fortunate enough to be able to keep her here at home. And with my grandpa as the main caregiver, a group uh, of professionals, and one really amazing professional caregiver who came in to our home twice a day
Mm.
to help, and then me stepping in uh, when I was needed. We were able to keep her home, and that's one thing that she really wanted, and I I'm thankful for that, and I do miss her, and that's kind of why I call my audience the butterflies.
That
Um,
was gonna be another question for the whole butterfly thing. Yeah, because most videos you start off with "Hello butterflies."
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Um, as my grandma was dying, I came in for the last goodbyes, and one of the things I said to her was, well, first thing was I apologized because I didn't feel as successful as I should be. But then I said, Grandma, I'm going to make a promise to you. And I said, I promise you I will be able to stand on my own 2 feet one day. Um, I get no, other than voc rehab, I get no other government help whatsoever. It is my grandpa and God's grace that I am doing good, so
Mm.
to speak. Well, I am doing good. And I get no Medicaid, nothing like that. And I said, Grandma, I promise you one day you will see me be successful and I will have a full-time income and I will make it. And she loved butterflies. She used to sit in her wheelchair and we had a flower bed out our kitchen window where she could look and she loved those. And I love butterflies too. So I named my audience Butterflies because that gives me hope. And not only does that remind me of the promise that I made to myself and my grandma, but it's also for those, people that are visually impaired and those parents that my little one is struggling. Well, it's just like a caterpillar. You start off as a caterpillar and then you go to the cocoon, and then what happens? You transform into a strong, wonderful, beautiful butterfly.
Yep.
And with the positive attitude and right resources, you can do that.
Yeah.
So that is the story of my audience.
There you go. Again, we do have a couple new people here. Link to her channel, Amanda Jean, is in the description box below. So head over there, give her a subscribe. And speaking of new people, Independently Blind is here, and he says, "Awesome. Hi, Amanda."
Hey, how are you?
Ew, gross. Agent Z says, "Ever tried the chocolate covered insects? Or
No,
excuse me,
no,
candy covered insects."
no, not yet, not yet. But that sounds like a good idea to do
Yeah,
a challenge
you,
with that.
you can go ahead
He
and let
said,
me know about that. I'm not gonna try it.
"Yeah,
It just sounds gross.
I'm adventurous. As long as I don't have allergies to something, I will generally try it. Like I'm allergic to fish,
Yeah.
sushi, so I'm like, no, thank you.
Oh man, I love me some sushi. I can eat hundreds of dollars in sushi in one sitting, no problem.
You can have it. I used to like it when I was a teenager, but one day I went to a restaurant, had it, and all of a
Mm.
sudden ended up at a walk-in clinic with horrible bad rash, and it was like, "You're allergic."
Oh,
I'm like, "Really? Okay."
that sucks.
Yeah, it does, because I used to love shrimp and things like that, and found out
Mm.
I can't have that either. I can have
Oh,
fish in
rough,
general. So, hey, at least
rough.
I can have that.
Yeah. Agent Z asks or says, "Being disabled just means you do things differently," and that is very true.
Yes, very true.
Um, what are some of the things that you've had to adapt since you don't really have a whole lot of um, government resourced help? Like some people, the best thing for them is I don't know, a $5,000 magnifier, for example, where they can actually get some things done. But
Right,
how
right.
do you adapt?
For me, I was fortunate enough to be able to get one grant this one time from Voc Rehab to go ahead and get some of my technology needs. But to adapt, I'm using an older laptop, even though it has Windows 10 on it. It's 3 years old. Eventually I'm going to have to buy another one eventually down the line. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I stay with the older versions of Zoom Text or Kurzweil, and I don't update as often as I should.
Mm-hmm.
My Alexa sitting here at my desk, it's the second generation. I don't have the latest and greatest. And then, um, because I don't know how much longer I'll be in Voc Rehab, it's about trying to save up what little I can,
Mm-hmm.
and taking care of what I do have as well. I've got some old magnifiers and stuff here on my bookcase over there that are old spares from high school. You
Mm-hmm.
know, sometimes you just got to use old resources, until they break. You know,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. We were talking about, I think it was yesterday or the day before. Jason and I were talking about blind tech. No, last night. It was
Mhm.
just last night. And we were talking about like how Braille, at least for totally blind people, I can speak to for sure, especially in my own
Mhm.
case. Braille is kind of like one of those things that if technology breaks, you still have Braille as a form of communication. You can still write
Mhm.
and type
Mhm.
and still be able to communicate with another blind person.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I think the roots of whatever technology we are currently learning or need to learn, it's good to have that backup.
Yeah. 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 So, for me, it's if something breaks, I might have to go back to my old magnifier from when I was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Oh, another thing is run an older iPhone. You may not have the latest and greatest, and my screen is cracked, but that's another story. You use what you have, and you're thankful for what you have. And then, of course, there's always human help because
Yeah.
if I can't get something clear enough, sometimes it's grandpa, So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of things to like seeing AI app, for example. That's a great resource for the iPhone.
Hmm.
So there's definitely a lot out there, and it's a great
Absolutely.
time to have vision problems, technology wise.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Did you ever get to use any of those? What is it called? The eSight or Jordy or anything like those head wearing
Mm-mm.
device? Mm.
Mm-mm. I haven't tried that yet, but I've seen videos of other people using it, and it's like, wow, that's cool. You know, my my most expensive piece of software, I would say, is actually Kurzweil. My
Mm-hmm.
reading, writing, scanning program, and it's expensive to keep up. They come out with a new, because my caseworker and I had to do some research because we had to put in a proposal for it, and they said, "Yeah, it'll be $700 every 2 years." And it's like, okay, I might not be able to afford that. You know,
Wow.
my other my other version of Kurzweil was version 12, and now they're on version 16. And version 12 I used for 8 years
Mm-hmm.
until I got an upgrade. So and when there's no tech support, because after so many years, like tech support goes away.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Jaws. I don't know if you're familiar with Jaws, but I priced
Mhm.
out Jaws, the latest version, and the one that I would need because I do a lot of remote. I could do a lot of remote training because I'm a certified technology instructor. $1,850
Woo.
for the version that I would need because they want to charge an extra $200 just to have remote access, plus the
Mhm.
SMAs, the maintenance agreements. So I mean, the
Mhm.
software right off the bat is $1,000.
Yeah, and with Zoom text, if you're gonna get where you're just gonna buy Zoom text and have it on your computer for life, that's like 500.
Yep.
And so VR was like, let's just get you the home licensing for $80 a year. And I'm like, and then they put in my paper clause or my what was it, employment clause. Amanda will be responsible for this until after this payment. And I'm like,
Wow.
great, yeah.
Yeah, I love how they throw those stipulations in there where you can't see them.
Mhm. Mhm. Do you
Well,
have an Alexa? Do you have one of those?
I
Just
do, but I
asking.
renamed her.
Oh, okay.
She's actually quite helpful. I actually use her for really quick on the fly type of things like how do you say your eye condition?
Nystagmus.
Nystagmus?
Mhm.
Computer, define nystagmus.
Nystagmus is usually defined as a congenital or acquired persistent, rapid, involuntary, and oscillatory movement of the eyeball, usually from side to side.
So it's kind of that's the only reason why I have it. It's in my studio, so it's like
Yeah.
really quick on the fly uses like that. So
Yeah. Yeah. I love mine. With me being dyslexic, it's like spell this word or spell that word, and it's like,
oh, there you go.
oh,
Yeah,
yay! I don't have to pull out a paper dictionary. So.
that's actually a really good idea. I'm doing spell check a lot on that as well.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's about all I have um, for you. Do you have anything that you would like to bring up that I didn't cover or may have missed? Anything at
Not that I
all?
can think of. Not that I can think of. Thanks for letting me be on the show, and I'm hoping that your subscribers will come over and hit that subscribe button and click that follow button and come check out my social media. I would love to grow my audience and be on the lookout for my book. I hope to have it out hopefully sometime this year, and more videos coming soon. So,
That would be awesome. And um, do you happen to know any of your social media links off the top of your head?
everything is at Amanda Jean N, pretty much,
Okay.
except for my website. My website is just www.amandajean.com.
Okay, cool. What about the blog? Is the blog attached to your website?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. Well, excellent. I want to thank you, Amanda, very much for coming out today. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you.
And I'm sure you'll get some people heading
Absolutely.
over there and checking out what you got to offer. So,
Cool. Awesome. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
absolutely. And I'll hang out here for a minute or two, people in the chat, in case you have any last minute questions, because we all know about the YouTube and Facebook delay. So, any last questions, go ahead and tag them now. And sometimes on YouTube, the chat tends to build up, and then all of a sudden they'll just spit out a bunch of chats in a row.
Awesome.
It's funny. That's the same comments. Okay, so it doesn't look like there's any more comments, but if anybody has any, if you're watching this on the replay, go ahead and click that link in the description box. I will also add in the other social media contact links that you can click on. If you have any questions specifically for Amanda, you can find her over there in the description box. So I want to thank everybody today for tuning in and being graced with Amanda's presence here and her story. It was a good one. So again, Amanda, thank you very much for coming out.
Yes, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yep. Until next time, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. This has been Theory of Blind Man. Don't forget, love is blind, keep it blind.